Welcome back, everyone, to game number 2 of this week's PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds League. As we go through, we got to see, pretty exhilarating game as we saw the last game. The same number of players, 88 now, pretty much ready to come in, fight whatever they want to do, and make their way to being in the top 10. Once again, my name is Gormizer, and joining me, again, is going to be M-Target.
Yep, well, happy to be here. Oh, and there we go, into the plane, and let's take a look at the map as the flight path comes out, and come on, plane. There we go. We can very different location. So I'm going to be going over Milta, heading to the west.
It's going to allow the players a couple of options here. I mean, a lot of players will maybe opt towards Milta, maybe try to drop down towards Milta Power, even fly up towards Lipovka, Crater, all of this over here kind of in the southeastern side of the map. But this does kind of allow players to make the risk. If they want to, they can try to fly as far as they can, get over onto the island, try to go for the military base if they really want to. But it doesn't seem like we will have too much of that. Again, a lot of the players at this point, the call would probably be find a vehicle, drive to where it's safe. We saw that at the beginning of the last game, when I kind of expect to see that again this time.
Yeah, definitely. I expect to see a lot of people and sort of spreading out to the north and to the south. And the funny thing here is that what ends up happening is that everybody, in trying to avoid the middle section and avoiding other people, ends up clustering elsewhere. Now, luckily on this flight path, there wasn't a whole lot in the middle anyways. It kind of flew over a lot of empty space. But you'll often see that. And so, like, only 2 people landed in Crater. Though in your pub games, you may be aware that Crater is one of those places that you go if
hot spot
you want to die. Yeah, hot spots, cauldrons of death, blood dead zones.
And it's one of those, like, the one that kind of equates here for me is going to be Schooled, which this time we're actually going to be seeing about 4 players inside the actual area,
but no
6
fire.
players in that area, or in the surrounding area total. But yeah, no fire so far. Still looking for a gun, still looking to try and find whatever they might be able to. And honestly, with the way that the building is designed, it kind of gives players this advantage, as we actually see, you know, Reapa's here looking for 6th rune. He can kind of peek down, see if someone's going to be going up to him, but there's still the ability to get flanked. There's a lot of kind of maneuverability inside the building, and the walls are going to make this a lot more close combat.
Definitely, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the school in the opening minutes, as we do see the circle has dropped, and the circle is not actually over the school, which means that it's definitely going to be harder on one side. And look at that, favoring those gambles to go towards Gurgapol. So those guys are good. Trip 2K, since we're on the map, still in the air, just now coming down. I don't like this gamble. You know, I get that he's doing the swing thing, but I mean, other players have already made it down there, so obviously his hold for trying to stay up high doesn't always do the trick.
You can fly far, but when it comes down to it, if you can land and find a car, you will get there just a little bit faster. And as we see,
I think that's actually not necessarily correct, but the problem is that because people beat him there, it shows like he took the slow route,
the slower route. And when it comes down to it, he's going to be landing where more weapons will spawn, kind of towards, I want to say, like the barracks or the apartments or whatever they are, kind of up there. Those 3 main buildings, as Fairy Tale Sun does have a spot, but ultimately the weapons are going to be kind of spread out. It's going to be high spawn down here no matter what, so it's still going to be a big risk. It just looks like it's going to pay off just enough for him that he's not going to be at too much of a disadvantage because of where he's landing.
Yep, and Con Games actually managing to juke Fairy Tale of Sin there. And plenty of people inside the circle, so they're fine. A lot of car movement still. School looks... I see 3 people, so we may have missed a death, but 3 is plenty. I see Fine did manage to get a kill up in Severny as well. So
that's one of those places I want to say on the map that's actually kind of, I feel like, overlooked. A lot of players don't tend to head up there unless the flight path tends to maybe favor it. That, like, that's the only place we can go. That's where we have to leave. It's not a bad place to loot up.
It's super risky, though, in my opinion. I'm somebody that personally likes to go to Severny, shooting range, etc. Shooting range, not so much anymore, because A, more people are going there because a lot of people made videos talking about how great it was, and B, the loot just doesn't feel that good right now. But Severny, again, pretty good, especially if you can get the whole town to yourself. But that's a problem when you need an entire town to loot 2 people.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, it's going to be another scenario where you put yourself in a town at the north end of the map, and you have to hope the circle's not going to fall down around the island towards the bottom, around the military base, or anywhere, just anywhere on the south side of the map, because at that point you lose precious time trying to loot. You have to find a vehicle, which sometimes you can find one in the town, sometimes you can find it on the roads nearby, but sometimes you will just be stuck having to run. And at that point, you're going to be stuck around there.
Yeah, speaking of going for running, he does, but Trip 2K trying to hit him there and does get some good shots off. So again, his slow flight, I guess, did an okay job there. As much as I was complaining about it, maybe I'll start doing it just in the upcoming week, so I can, try some slow flights just so I can, understand other players' options. I'll do that this week.
And it does kind of have a little bit of a benefit. I mean, as we saw right there, he landed in time where there were still other players there, but depending on how far you go or how slow you are getting down, other people have left the area. And with the military base, there's no way they were able to take all of that loot. There's still going to be ammo and guns left for you. So it's entirely possible that a play like that could benefit you, especially in this kind of scenario where your goal is essentially just stay alive as long as you can.
Yep, and we have Compact Stunts, who I'm pretty sure doesn't know that somebody's there. But Rhino, was it Rhino? No, I just missed the name. So many names on the map. That he definitely saw him. Sorry, KJ. There we go. KJ saw him. That definitely sees him now.
I was just hoping that there might be a crossbow play, but not going to be coming through. Knows he's around.
Yeah, but with that S12K, not a whole lot of range on it.
Yeah.
So, of course, if this were real life, you could hit the shot. Well, it's called balance, guys. You have to match it up a little bit. Otherwise, everybody would be using smoothbore Saigas with slugs and sniping people from across the map.
What I will say is I really like the S12K as well, just as a shotgun. While I almost every time feel bad if I ever put any AR attachments on it, depending on how many I'm able to find, I like the play that it brings you, just because the other shotguns can hit a little harder, but with the speed that one brings, the ability to just kind of come out, even if you miss the first couple shots, you have 3 to fall back on, and you can just kind of spam it, and if you get the extended mag, you get the 8 shots total. The gun just kind of allows you to be more aggressive while still being safe.
Especially in the mid game, sure, it's it's that question of effective DPS, where sure, one shot doing enough to kill somebody in the early game with the other 2 shotguns, beating out the fact that the S12K needs 2 to kill them in the early game, but the S12K still only needs 2 to kill them in the mid game as well.
Yeah,
maybe 3 compared to those needing 2 or 3 as well, and so it shoots faster and actually does more effective DPS because they can soak more of the damage.
Now it looks like a lot of the players now starting to make their way over towards the circle. Gatka looking to actually be kind of a hot spot as it stands right now. Normally players don't look over here too often, but seeing them in such close proximity, it's decent loot, but like you said, kind of the same way where Severny is, you're not going to find a lot here. And with the amount of players I'm seeing on the map in this area, they're all going to be kind of stuck. And I mean, I'm looking at someone running around, Cubsy, with the revolver of all things. Not exactly the gun you want to be stuck with.
No, but especially Snapplecat might be looking at him. Maybe he sees Snapplecat. So that's going to make things dicey running into this building. I mean, I certainly don't want to go for... Yeah, Snapplecat didn't see him. Maybe he sees him now.
Definitely should have the audio from when he ran by. Not sure.
If he doesn't see him now, then got some questions for you, buddy. But I'm guessing I think it's a Car 98 then as well, because obviously if it was a shotgun, I would probably want that out instead of the Scar.
Oh, yeah.
And Cubsy running around. Surprised that he didn't check that building, but I think he might know that somebody was there and looking for any kind of gun that, isn't the
revolver. And when it comes down to it, it's 7 shots, and they're going to be strong shots, especially if you can hit them. But for me, iron sights with it, it's very hard to hit. Just third person aiming with it, very hard to hit. And if you don't hit enough of them when it comes down to it, that's the longest reload time you're really going to experience coming down to it. I'd love to see maybe a challenge come through for the tournament right now. Find yourself a cowboy hat, carry that on your side, and just only use the revolver, but I just don't see it going too well for him overall.
Definitely not. Maybe in the future. Maybe some fun games during the week. But for now, again, people working towards the circle. We do see the end of a fight in the to the south end. of Gatka, where we did see one kill. But Quayside and Reptar, I think they're both aware that each other are in the area.
Reptar holding that door.
You hold that door.
This is one of those plays that I feel like when you see something like that, so you get the player sitting there, he's aiming patiently at the door, he's waiting. He knows someone's nearby, but he has no idea when or if they're going to even poke in here. Fast forward to when the circle is right behind them. All of a sudden,
we got two guys that are literally right on top of each other, right there, and Lukash does find the kill, but that would have been hilarious if he had gotten turned on. And I'm sure Wildy or Wildy not feeling too great about that either. Apologies. Continue.
Well, that's actually what we just saw there is another thing that I think is kind of a benefit. So we're going to be seeing some people get pushed out by the circle, but seeing that play, a lot of people have kind of taken to camouflaging themselves. I've noticed a lot more players being able to hide, as it looks like Texas going to be able to take out Trip 2K there. And Texas, I mean, he was one of those players that was able to make it to the top and win a game last week. Looking to try and repeat that. Trip 2K, though, not going to be making it as far as he did in the last game. And that was going to be number 67 all across the board, as these players still looking to try and get there. Lush taking the UAZ, just trying to get away into the circle. Very close, but with a few other players in the neighborhood, looks to play it safe.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a good decision to do so, especially if you think there's anybody in Primorsk who just getting shot with. Also, Texas might see your boy, but no, Texas is below. He is doing some shopping on the body. So yeah, speaking of camouflage, I make a point to wear, the black shirt, and I actually like the Twitch beanie because it hides your head a little bit better. And then I wear dark pants because if you're in shadows, it's a lot harder to see you. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you get a crate with the Wookiee suit in it, then the ghillie suit's quite nice for you, as you can be a bush Wookiee, but only if you're in the grass. So
I saw this goes the other day. I can't remember which jacket. It was one of the puffier jackets, along with just standard kind of brown pants, completely blend in to a tree. Like, I did not realize. I was watching the GIF. It took me about 3 or 4 times before I could see the player. And at that point, you were about 10 feet away. Luckily, I mean, they were looking the other way, so that's why the gun wasn't visible. And that kind of can help camouflage you. But at the same time, if someone's running up behind you, you're not going to have that much of an opportunity to turn around. The player in the GIF was able to get it. But as we could see here, and as we might see throughout this game, a lot of that isn't going to play too much unless we do see a ghillie suit come by and the crate's coming through. There's potential for it. There's always going to be the chance for someone to try and get in there. But as it stands, it looks like most players kind of going for the typical blue jeans t-shirt combo.
Yeah, we will see. What's I want to make some sort of like what The Rock is cooking or John Cena joke here, but I can't. Too much wrestling has been on my Twitter feed lately. I don't follow it at all, so that's why I can't just like come up with these things right off the bat. And also why I'm coming with guys that don't even wrestle right now. But
I am going to admit I'm impressed with Machine Gunner. I think this is going to be the first game, and like all of the games that we have watched, that he is not outside the circle for the first circle. He's going to be sitting inside of Yorgapol, inside the next zone lucky as well. I'm proud of you, man. Like, I mean, I don't know what it is, because I mean, in the last ones we've even seen, he hasn't patiently, like, it hasn't been, oh man, I'm outside the circle, I got to get over there. It's, yeah, I'm over here driving a boat around Novo, just doing whatever I can, looking for a vehicle over here in Milta while the circle's up in the north side of the map. Like, he has some curious plays, but he always tends to live through it, wondering how the loot's going to be for him right now. But trying to get in the circle, there's still a couple players just outside looking to try and heal up with what is left. Now they have to make themselves over to the new circle, which is a good maybe 30% water.
Yeah, and personally, I enjoy these because you either can play the water, you can hop in a boat and play sort of on the edge, play the beach, stuff like that, and play for some options there, especially because you know that everybody else is going to be squished into the land. So, and
it also has, I want to say, one of the better geographic features of the map, in my opinion, is just the mountain that is in this region, because a lot of players love going up there. It's a great place to snipe. You can view everything. There's not a lot of cover. When you're up there, you can peek behind rocks, but if you're trying to actually snipe people, have a big impact on it, you're going to be kind of a sight for sore eyes. You're going to be a dot pretty much on a white canvas. And when it comes down to it, people can kind of pick you off. I think last week, the last game we watched was actually in that area as well. But it looks like not going to be, I want to say, a big play. A lot of players used to be favored. It used to be one of the places to go to just because it was a nice place to get a view of the land. A lot of players tend to avoid it now.
Definitely. So again, let's see. Edgar Allan Pug just going to rip into Sergeant Hathakai, who did do pretty well last time, but again, when you decide, okay, I got to go for my run, you know, you go for it, and sometimes you get punished here. And speaking of getting punished, we do still see some players still out in the blue who were just a little bit too greedy possibly and taking some serious chunk, and that's not fun.
Yeah, normally for the, I want to say the latter 50 in a 100-man game, of course, this one going to 88, so it's going to be like the latter 30 here. You don't see a lot of died outside the play zone for the first circle, but it has potential. And a lot of these players, again, they were running, swimming, whatever, what have you, trying to get from where they are to the new circle. With the way that the plane flew in originally, if they jumped out early on, they're going to be stuck in this position where now we're looking at, like, you know, Pizuka here, having to get into a boat, having to try and drive around, should be able to find a comfortable spot, but having to use those precious meds just to stay alive from the first circle, let alone trying to get into the next one afterward. This looks like it's going to be a long path for him.
Definitely, but again, back to the action, so to speak. Again, we're in my opinion, when you're following Battlegrounds, the best way to talk about it is we're looking at, you know, little snapshots of the story until we get to about top 20 or so, I would say, and we're getting to those really tight circles where then it's a really good, fast-paced, free-for-all game. So, but with that said, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, just especially this early on, a lot of it is getting a feel for how the players want to play it, just because, like, you can see, like, even here when we're hovering over Baka Bryce, this is the kind of person who wants to get a decent gun, get some decent amount of ammo, and then wait at the edge of the circle for people who he knows is going to come in.
I missed what Baka Bryce had, but he certainly didn't miss when he hit Truth in the head. And so, just like that, click, gone. And Baka Bryce checking to see if anybody else is in the area. Doesn't quite see them. Total T-Mac has been running this line, riding this rail the entire way through.
And just outside, like, that has to be the worst feeling. You can see the edge of the circle, and every step you take, it is getting just as, like, it's staying the same distance away from you. Of course, should be able to catch it eventually, but again, healing
it does stop.
Be playing a big issue when it comes down to it, because a lot of this, I mean, players, you can have good luck. Like I said in the last game, a lot of them were able to kind of stay out in that blue circle as long as they wanted, and it didn't seem to affect them. But if you have my luck, you're finding maybe an energy drink, and then you're just stuck on that, and you have to live on that energy drink for the rest of the game. Not going to be able to work out, but it seems like they're going to be in a relatively comfortable position.
Well, if it's insert your brand energy drink here, then that could sustain you through that. But no, in all seriousness,
we need to get sponsored.
Dude, energy drink sponsors.
Perfect for this game.
Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot of other stuff. You know, motorcycle helmet sponsors, welding helmet sponsors. You know, from there, but backpack sponsors, you know, maybe Meta Threads just should hit us up for their level 3 backpack.
Or your favorite brand police vest manufacturer.
We're just going to go with regular vests. We're going to go with the stylish options.
Get those.
But no, actually, hang on. We got gunfight going on somewhere, and Sick Gremlin is shooting at nothing. He doesn't even see fine, so that's awkward. And he falls. So that's the nice thing about when you just prone right there is you're underneath the I mean, he jumped down here obviously, but he was able to shoot under the rail. But again, now we're up to circle 3, so that means that we are ticking at 1 damage per second, which means that everybody still out there, such as Reptar hurting. We see Pizuka still hanging out there. Hopefully he's got enough gas, because I am one of those people that does ride the rail in a boat, and I have had more than one occasion where I didn't quite gauge my gas correctly and died.
And nothing feels worse when you're full speed, you're just outside the circle, you're low health, you're like, I'm going to make it in, and then you get the vehicle is out of gas.
And right, you just come to a screeching halt
to a dead stop.
The boat.
And you have to decide what your next play is here. As we actually see a couple of players, like we had mentioned earlier, play in the water over there in the map, since the new circle is going to be kind of covering that edge of the map. It's going to be a definite play, but there's opportunities for them to get caught out making it onto the shore.
Yep, so Texas involved in the shenanigans. Let's get 1 kill here. And taking down Con Games with the frag grenade. But there are still two other people in the two houses, just sort of across from him. I think that's qualifications at Al or... Oh, here we go. Thank you, camera. You're going to see Mollyok and Mr. Corey, who Mr. Corey was spamming in chat before the game started that he didn't manage to make it in time, and when he told him tough cookies. So, but no, he did make it in.
Noticing, just looking at the kill feed, Lush going to be picking up another kill. Lush, of course, with the win last game, looking to try and ride that streak as far as they can. And that's something that we've seen a lot of these players that get in the top 10, especially from last week, were able to kind of consistently do that over and over again, where they were at the point where it's like, yeah, you know, they made it top 10. They're probably going to make it top 10 again. Smithy was actually one of the ones that kind of caught my eyes. It was surprising to see him go as low as, I mean, number 8, not bad, but just being lower than he had been last week.
He was top 5, I think, in all three, 2 out of the 3 games. So we'll see how he goes here. Play area is now starting to restrict, which means we are now up to circle 4, which means that we are now ticking at 1.5 damage per second. Snapplecat gonna die from falling. Unfortunate, but you know, it happens.
Motorcycle fatalities are some of the worst that you can feel, and honestly, happens to me all the time because every time you go up in the air, you want to get a flip.
Yeah, fine. Nope, not fine. I was gonna say, not doing too hot. Took some damage in the flip, and then got finished off by Lukash as well. And now we do have somebody else flying through here. As Danny was taken, is looking for it, looking okay. What's going on? And Lukash is just hiding, and D'Artagnan might actually get the shot here, as Danny was taken, just cruises right on through. And he's actually gonna hop off. He's gonna play some paintball here behind these nice big straw bales or hay bales.
This is becoming quite a hot spot right now for a lot of players just because of the edge of the circle. A lot of kills going on, a lot of red health bars being fired around, and about 6 players all kind of sitting within range of, like, I mean, hearing range at this point. Total T-Mac died outside the play zone. Unfortunately for him, did not make it in the way we saw Pizuka.
Man.
But these other players looking to pick up anyone who might get caught out with the circle almost fully collapsed here. They should be able to find something soon, but it looks like we might just see them retreat.
Good day, Izon. Not feeling too good right now. Hung in some trouble. Maybe not actually. Dead Beef in a worse spot. Is he actually still in the car, or is he? No, he's just outside the car, so he has a decent angle there, and he's gonna hit the pan. Feels good, man. As Hung does take some fall damage, but still in a slightly better spot. But they are both taking damage from the electricity. Hung's gonna go for the nade play and then run away, but not gonna find the kill. But Dead Beef needs to get out of there, or you know, just take Hung with him, because again, the kill plus the placing, it's not going to be top 10, not going to be top 5, but it's something.
And it's still going to be able to contribute to it. And a lot of players do have that kind of mentality, and sometimes, especially in this, depending on the meds that we see Dead Beef have, that could be the kind of plays like, I'm not going to make it through this circle. I'm going to make sure you don't make it through this circle. Although they are right there at the edge, Hung might have potential to look for stuff.
Hung doesn't get the kill, which kind of stinks, because that would have been a point, but instead he just dies to the circle. So hey, at least he denied himself. We got a boat fight going on here. Rhino Main in the water, so boat won't actually run him over there. So, and he can't shoot, so you're just kind of hanging out, going, okay, now what? But he can swim and slow play the smart. He should be okay. Machine Gunner in some trouble here, and Machine Gunner goes down to L2P Lush. Unfortunately, we're not going to see a high result from him this game. L2P Lush should be okay, but he does know that there are a couple players in the water, and he knows that he has alerted everyone to his presence.
Royal Titan has done something that I have never seen another player do. So there's a beached boat already there. Drives his boat right next to it, makes himself a little alcove, gets out, and now has a view on the players that could come up from behind him, but has protection on this beach, so he doesn't have to run across essentially no man's land to get to cover. And that's actually going to be really good. Lush was in the neighborhood. Lush would be able to spot him out and be able to find that kill, no problem, especially if anyone else coming out from the circle of the water players decided they wanted to kind of move forward and get on the beach just enough to be able to find those shots. So ultimately, just having a nice little bit of cover and a smart heads-up play coming out just to keep him ahead, depending on how this next circle goes.
Let's see how this goes. Mosin, Molyak. Lukash does fall to good day there, and D'Artagnan taking down Danny as well. So, circle moving in here again, so people really need to get in here, because this circle, I believe, is doing 3 damage a second, so it won't kill you immediately, but it's not a good
It's gonna
time.
hurt.
And oop, Lush is looking for it, and your boy's like, "No, I'm just gonna get back underwater." But not the same luck for Kolsov here, who does have an M24. So if he can catch L2P Lush with just one shot, oh no! But Reptar's gonna be the one that finds him with an M16 of all things.
That's going to be one of those things. Cover can give you, I mean, cover there from one side, but not from the other. Circle actually going to be closing in on a few of these players. Some in the water having to be forced up right now, but I'm mainly looking Reptar. I believe his cover was not in there. You're going to have to move up as well. And like you said, this one's going to hurt.
Awful. Yep, Reptar getting chunked here. He needs to get on land, but Hung is looking at him and is like, dude, oh, he's actually not even shooting at him. He's shooting at somebody else, which is super risky. I think he knows that he's dead here. He's going to jump into the water so that way he, yep, dies to the play zone. Reptar dying to the play zone as well. I mean, look, if you know that you're going to die to the play zone and kills count, then yeah, you know, go for the kill and don't let your opponent get their point. It's 1 point, but when 1 point can separate, you know, 5th from 6th or 10th from 11th, every little bit matters.
Rhino Main is kind of hugging the edge of the water. This is one of those plays that's kind of come up a little bit more recently where you can just barely peek out. You can get your guns back so you can fire, but you have a little bit more cover than other players will have, kind of using the water to your advantage here. Lush going to have a nice advantage there with the walls and the building as well. A lot of these players looking kind of low on the other side, but with the circle kind of spawning where it is, it's going to force a lot of movement, and that's going to be the big thing. A lot of these players are clustered together waiting for the
Moliak's going to hurt
push.
Getting out of there.
That's going to be
his only way out is through the circle.
It's one of the, and especially with a couple players sitting beside him, no matter what, if he gets spotted out, that tick damage, it's going to put him at a disadvantage.
Yep, LTB Lush taking out Rhino Main on the beach there. And again, people have to start moving. We're 30 seconds away from I believe it's going to be 5 damage per second, if I kept count correctly, of the circles. So this not going to be fun.
Well, just looking at the kind of spawn, and a lot of these players actually going to be making it in. I'm looking at Spiffer actually relatively, out in the open completely, but makes it in safely overall. Some of them still needing to move up. The players in the south going to be getting pushed.
This 15 is going to drop to 10 really fast here.
Yes. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 players that are still kind of in a position where they have a long way to go, and the circle is going to catch them a little bit faster than I think they would like.
Definitely, and these guys that are even just on the edge of the circle are not too happy with their positions. We see Jay Snipes just really kiting around, trying to find some way in, and he's still not quite there. Texas is just hauling and not having a great time. Chalotwaf is going to, actually, he's going to fall off the bike here, and Texas is trying to dance, but no, Chalotwaf is going to get the kill there. 11 left. He's not going to quite get to top 10 unless he can run or get that first aid kit going. He should have enough health to get it back up there. Moliak doing the same thing. I think he does get the first aid kit off, so if he runs this here, he may be able to survive. Yep, top 10 is now here. You're drinking that energy drink as well. Chalotwaf is trying to get in. And this is pretty much now speedrunning, where these guys are trying to go, okay, can I gamble as me versus the circle? And the circle's doing either 5 or 7 damage a tick. Not fun. Chalotwaf, if he makes it through the circle, he might make it. And no, he falls to the play zone as Moliak drops as well. So now we are down to 8, just like that.
A lot of players, surprisingly for this game, going to be dying down there. And like you said, with 8 left, and a lot of them clustered together. The minute one of them fires, it's going to just blow up. Lush did make it in over here as well. We get to see a few of the other players that we got to see kind of make it towards that top end. Jay Snipes going to be kind of lurking around, forced to move. This is going to be the other big thing. They can hug the edge of the circle as much as they want. With the new spawn,
run!
It's all in the open.
Nope. And Ferg's backing off there. He's getting a little low, and he's actually going to run for it right there. And Compact stunts. That was okay. But Rixness is going to get clipped as well, so they both do fall. As Pizuka, who we caught, you know, all those minutes ago on the boat, is alive and kicking. And Ferg's opting to push Jay Snipes here, or thinking about it actually now as he does play the circle. Lost his helmet, so that's not good, or her, excuse me. And Ferg's is going to make it behind the wall, so that's going to be helpful at least. But again, outside the circle here, Jay Snipes is pushing. Brisky actually going to get clipped there by Pers again. This is a really, it's both a tense top 6, but it's still fairly spread out. Normally top 6 feels a little bit tighter than this, but with these couple buildings right in here, it really does throw things for a loop.
And now with the circle kind of collapsing in, only 2 players inside the play zone currently, as we see them all kind of make their way that way. it's again, the circle's hurting. They have a little bit to go for it. Close quarters looking like it's going to be a big thing with these houses, depending on the next circle, possibly forcing some of these players out. But we see Lush, we see a few of these other players waiting patiently and just in this position, they have no reason to really get too aggressive. They might be able to catch players like Fergs, who has no helmet as they go into the circle. But Besta dying outside the play zone leaves us at 5.
Yep, and then there were 5, and I believe these are all definitely in some of the higher points categories in terms of numbers. So we're in the money.
Fergs and J Snipes, both just outside the circle, kind of lucky with where this spawned as well, going for the other two. Pizuka, the one player who was longest outside of the initial circle, now going to be in the top 5 and still just barely outside of the new safe zone, having to kind of make those decisions as where they want to go and where they want to aggress. Enap and Lush haven't found each other yet. Lush looking to just kind of hang out on the balcony. Should have a good view, has some decent guns for the range, and I like the fact with the ump available, that is going to give full auto. You can do whatever you really need to do in this close range, and as long as it keeps these houses in the circle, it's going to kind of favor that.
So, if I'm Pizuka, I'm going, okay, am I the only person, and I like to sort of assume the worst here, I'm probably the only person not in the circle or near it, and I've got to, run across this long range. This kind of stinks. But last game, these guys are doing exactly what happened where, Lush takes out J Snipes, but all the guys that are right up in the circle take each other out, and then you get down to a trade at the end. Speaking of which, L2P Lush, 2 games in top 3, winning the first one. He's going to get some great numbers today.
That, and we have seen Lush pick up quite a few kills so far. Honestly, going to be getting, like you said, great numbers, great point sets, as it seems. Enap not doing the best on ammo. I think that was only 16 shots left right there. Pizuka did successfully make it over here, and I believe is in the circle as it closes down with the top 3. I believe we're probably not going to see some fight until the next one spawns, just because the vision, I mean, for Pizuka, he's not going to be able to spot these players, and they might be able to find him. But again, giving away their position, giving away which house they're in and where they are, they're not going to leave you yet.
And Pizuka is, a couple inches, maybe a foot away from the edge of that circle. And then Enap and Lush are no. And now we're back to Pizuka being the closest to the next circle. And this is the final circle here, doing 11 damage a second.
For those who want to do some math, that hurts a lot. just so you know, if they get caught out, it will just demolish you. And like you said, with Pizuka kind of standing where he is, of course, one misstep going a little bit too far back might cause him a little bit of health. But Lush and Enap both have to leave their safe zone. They have about 30 seconds before this circle starts closing. And with the side that they're on, it's not going to be the fastest part of the circle, but it's definitely going to be moving. As Pizuka looking to get aggressive, does spot out Enap, and should be able to find, yes, gets the kill. Now with the one-on-one, overall, Lush kind of at a disposition here.
Yeah, it should be very interesting to see sort of what happens here. Again, Pizuka, I don't know who's got the better line, quite frankly, here. But again, both these players top 2. Pizuka needs to run, but Lush might... okay, gonna make it. And... oh, Lush is in trouble. Oh, but Lush manages again to just control it, and Lush back-to-back W's, 9 kills and 6 kills. So there's an additional 15 points on top of the, I want to say, 60 overall.
2 number 1s in a row, both relatively high kill games, not necessarily the highest that you will ever see, but Lush being able to play and show that, I mean, aggression is going to be able to do it. And I like the lean at the end. Like, well, you just got to see a nice little peek over the wall. You don't have to go as far as you need to. Like, you don't need to run into the circle like we saw last week if you think you can get the kill before it hits you. And while it was going to be able to do a lot of damage, Lush took the little bit of a risk. Both of them having 6 kills, Pizuka just not able to really clinch that one out. And ultimately just kind of terrain Lush a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and that's, what works out. Pizuka, maybe it's that advantage, but Lush... just hitting those couple shots. Again, Scar versus a UMP, it looked like, too. The Scar does hit harder per bullet, even if the UMP may shoot slightly faster. Yeah, that's really where I would have liked to have had a Vector or a Micro Uzi or Mini Uzi if I was
in that kind of position. But with that win, and with, I mean, Lush taking, I think, the first back-to-back win that we have seen. Of course, we've only now played 5 games. We will be taking a patient one, as we've seen 2 games today. We do 3 every single week here, and so we will be getting ready for this third match as we get the players ready, we get the lobby set up, and we get these ones going and running forward. We're going to take a short break as we get the next game set up, and we will talk to you in a little bit.